Hello, Abby. It's an honor to have you with us today in Radio Paz. Are you in Texas?
I am, yeah. I'm actually at home right now, so yes, I am.
That's wonderful. How is the weather today over there?
Well, actually, it's raining, so we're happy for the rain. We I feel like we always need rain, so we're happy to have it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Abby, the first question is many people watch the movie Unplanned, that is about your life, and some others know about your testimony and your pro life work. But we always have new listeners tuning in. And for them, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, I worked for, like you said, I worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years. I got involved when I was in college. I didn't know much about Planned Parenthood. I didn't really know anything about the organization. I grew up in a pro-life home, but we didn't really talk about abortion. I guess I'd say I grew up in a conservative home. We didn't really talk about abortion, so I didn't really know anything about it. And then went to college, met a woman who was with Planned Parenthood, and she started, telling me about the organization and started talking to me about, telling me that they did all of these really great things. And I didn't really know much about it, so I think I just was very vulnerable to the message that she was giving me, and so I started working there and was there for 8 years, and believed that I was doing the right thing. I believed I was helping women, and then I ended up. I was participated in an ultrasound guided abortion after being there for quite some time, and it was then that I was able to witness a live ultrasound guided abortion procedure, and I saw a baby fight and struggle for his life against the abortion instrument. And I knew then that there was humanity in the womb, that there was life in the womb, and I knew that if those two things were true, then I was on the wrong side of this abortion debate. So I ended up leaving.
Yes, very moving to see that, to see the baby fighting for his life in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Why 8 years before you didn't see that? During the other years that you were a director, did you watch something similar, or why after 8 years?
Yeah, so ultrasound guidance is not typically used during an abortion procedure. So I'm not a medical person. I'm not a doctor or nurse or anything like that. So I was not typically in the rooms during abortions. Um, so I just happened to be called in during this time, during this one abortion procedure. And that, to my knowledge, using an ultrasound during an abortion, that was the first time that had ever happened at our facility. So, and I just, happened to be one of the people who were in there helping during that kind of abortion. So this was all, very new to me. And, I think, I really did believe I was doing the right thing during that 8 years. I didn't think much about the baby at all. It was, very focused on the woman and what was best for her. And I had really disconnected the woman from her child. And I had done that for those 8 years. So it wasn't, I didn't think about the baby at all. And so it wasn't until I was really faced with seeing that child in the womb for the first time
Abby,
that I really had to think about what I was doing and look at this baby and look at what I was doing. And it was then that I realized, I could not do this anymore.
and how old was that baby?
The baby was 13 weeks.
And can you
So still in the first trimester, so early.
and can you be more detailed of what happened in your mind and in your heart at that specific moment?
Honestly, I felt really foolish because I just thought, here I've been promoting this lie for so many years, and I didn't, I can't say that I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna walk out right this second. I was scared. I didn't know what I was gonna do for work. I knew I needed to help, provide for my family. So I didn't really know what I was going to do. I felt very, nervous about that. So I thought, well, I'm gonna try to get another job. I'm, going to try to, I'm gonna try. I don't know. I'm gonna try to get out of here as soon as I can. And so that's what I tried to do. I tried to start, looking for other jobs, looking for other work. But as I went back to the clinic, I just realized that I could no longer be there. I was participating in evil. And I just thought, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be a part of this. I cannot participate in this any longer. And so that was when I just knew I have to leave. I have to get out, no matter what happens, no matter, if we don't have any money, no matter, what that looks like. I have seen something that's evil, and I have to leave. And so that's what I did.
Yes. I heard you in a testimony talking about the evil of abortion. So tell us about the connection between evil and abortion.
Um, you know, abortion is is child sacrifice. So it's the same. We read in our Bibles in the Old Testament about the child sacrifice that happened back then, and the Bible talks about how there's nothing new under the sun, and that's true. Abortion is not new because abortion is child sacrifice, and child sacrifice has been taking place since really the beginning of time. We read about it in Scripture. They used to sacrifice their children to Baal and to Molech and all of these other demons, and we're doing that today. But we call it something that's more palatable. We call it choice. Instead of calling it Molech, we call it choice. We call it healthcare. We call it reproductive freedom. But it's that same spirit. It's that same evil. Back then in the Old Testament, they used to sacrifice their children for success, for better crops, better for wealth, and that's essentially why women have abortions, right? So that they can finish their education, they can get better jobs, they can have better careers, and it's the same back then, and so abortion is evil in a very unique way because the evil is tangible. It is, you can smell it, you can see it, you can touch it.
Wow.
And it's something that can really, it takes over your senses and it can take over your mind in a very unique way because of that. And I think that, we have, right now, the, people, for years, people have tried to normalize abortion, make abortion normal, make abortion something that, that is acceptable for our society, and they've done a pretty good job of it. But I think that one of the reasons that abortion is so acceptable in our country and around the world is because people don't see the primary victim of abortion. They don't see that baby die. They don't see that baby, they don't see the heartbeat, stop.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And if they did, if they were able to see this child die in the womb, if they were able to see this child be, pulled apart and dismembered in the mother's womb, I think a lot more people would stand against this evil.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. I agree. And yes, when I heard you saying that evil was tangible and even have a smell, and we
Mm-hmm.
were able to see it, it was shocking to me. I never thought of that. So yeah, it's good that people knows it, that even that has those characteristics to say. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the idea will be that everybody will see the beauty of a life developing inside a woman's womb before making a decision of being pro-choice or pro-life, right? Abby, the following question would be, during those 8 years that you were the director of Planned Parenthood, you had a tense relation with people that prayed in front of your Planned Parenthood location. But in that
Mm-hmm.
moment that we're talking about, that you had that conversion, that you realized that it was evil and it was wrong what you guys were doing, you went to them looking for help. Why?
Yeah, and they had always told me that, if I ever wanted to leave, that they would help me get out. And I never thought that, I would need that kind of help, but they had always offered it. And so when I decided to leave, I thought, well, I am going to need help finding another job, and I really didn't know how difficult it was going to be to leave. I did not know that, Planned Parenthood was going to take me to court. I didn't know that it was going to be as difficult as it was. But I knew that I was going to need support, and I knew that, I figured that these people that had, once been my friends were no longer going to be my friends. And so I thought, well, I'm probably going to need support from someone. And so that was, one of the reasons that I reached out to them, because I thought if anybody understands, what I've just witnessed, what I've just experienced, it's them, because they understand the humanity of these children, and they respect the humanity of these children. And those are the people that I wanted to be around. The people who would say, yes, we love these babies, and we understand what you've seen and why it was so difficult for you.
Yes, but can you, in your words, describe how was the relation between you and that group that prayed during those other 8 years?
Oh, well, I mean, while I worked at the clinic, it hadn't always been great. Our relationship, I mean, they were a nuisance to me when I worked there. So, I mean, we hadn't always had a great relationship or anything. But they had always, reached out and had told me that they would help. And that I knew that they were always praying for me. And so in the end, that's why I reached out to them, because I knew that
Yes, but
that they were sincere.
But
so when they told me
sometimes
that they were praying for me, I knew that they were, and when they told me that they would help, I knew that they would.
Yeah, but I heard you saying that sometimes they were annoying to you, and you put the sprinkles on them and things like that.
Yep, that's true.
And but the important thing is that this group was always respectful to you and your staff, right?
Yeah, the Coalition for Life group was. They were respectful. There were people out there that weren't. For sure, there were people that were part of other groups that went out there that were not always respectful. Um, there were times that we received death threats and things like that. And but the Coalition for Life, that group that was out there, they were always very respectful and kind.
And that is the idea that people that goes and prays in front of centers should keep in mind, not to be always respectful, always having a loving attitude, because at the end, look, you went to them, to the ones that were good to you, always telling you we're here for you, praying for you, we can help you leave your job if you want. But the others that were kind of aggressive and sending you death threats, that doesn't work, and that is gonna have the opposite answer. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And it only, for the people that were very aggressive with us and hostile, it only causes, for the workers and for the women going in, it only causes a separation. So it only makes you want to really dig your heels in and say, I'm going to stay here at the clinic. I'm not going to reach out. I'm not going to ask for help. And that's the opposite of what we should want in the pro-life movement. We should want, everybody who's walking into the doors of an abortion clinic to feel comfortable to come to us. Mm-hmm. And if you're, not being kind, then they're not going to want to come to us. And so it's sort of the opposite of what we're trying to do in the movement.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Abby, I believe that, however, the presence in front of abortion centers and the pacific prayers have results and have fruits. And even prayers are powerful. Did you feel it during those years? What can you say about it?
About the power of prayer?
The power of prayer, yes.
Well, I mean, I think it's very important. I don't think that I would be here today. I mean, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing today if it hadn't have been for, my parents' constant intercession for me. I think, parents praying for their children is vital. My parents were always praying for me every day for those 8 years, and I think that was very important. I remember one time my boss was a fallen away Catholic, and one time I talked about this in my book on Plan. We had a religious sister and come to our clinic and pray, and she was just standing out there, praying and in her habit, and my boss, who was so generally angry at the Catholic Church and hated the Catholic Church, she saw this sister praying outside of our clinic, and I remember walking into my office, and she was standing there, staring out the window, and she was so bothered by this sister standing out there just praying. And I said, what's going on? What's the deal? And she said, how long do you think she's going to stand there and just pray? And I said, I don't know, probably for a while. But that just goes to show you that, our witness, the power of our witness, the power of, praying in front of these abortion facilities is really powerful, and particularly, the religious, our clergy and religious is very, very powerful. And, And so I think that, I didn't really see it then when I was working in the clinic, but I definitely see how powerful it is now.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Abby, and why did you become Catholic?
Oh, that's really a long story, but I think that I think I'd always had a pull to all things involving the Blessed Mother, and so when I was really, sort of searching when I left Planned Parenthood. My husband and I both were, and we were really, looking for truth, and we started doing just a lot of reading, and the more we read, and we read a lot from the early church fathers, and really the more we read, the more we found truth in the church, and so we got into RCIA, and we just, that was what we decided. That was where we decided that we wanted to be, and it's really been, one of the best decisions we've ever made as a family. It's been one of the best things that we've done for our marriage, and we're, so thankful to be a part of the church. We came into the church Easter of 2012, so it's been over 10 years now. So.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And I believe this ministry is very dear to our mother. And our faith, our church is not an orphan. We do have a mother, and that is very caring, very sweet. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Abby. Okay, so now you have a large family now. Can you tell us how many kids you have, their ages, their names, if possible?
Yeah, so we have 8 children, and our oldest is 15. She'll be 16 next month.
Oh, important
and
birthday.
Then we have 4 boys in a row. They are 10, 9, 8, and 7. And then we have twin girls. They are 5. And then we have a little boy, and he is 3.
You even adopted one of your children, right?
That's right. Yeah, our 7-year-old is adopted.
Great. People now criticize families that are large. What would you say to them based on your experience of having this beautiful large family?
Oh, I think people criticize what they don't understand, and I think people criticize things that they're scared of. And I grew up as an only child, so I was not used to being around big families or anything like that, and but I didn't know anything about having a large family, so but when the Lord really opened my heart to life, he really gave me a heart for wanting more children and wanting, having a desire for a large family. And so it was interesting how that happened, but I think that there's a fear, of, how are you going to provide for all these children, or, it's just so expensive, or, how are you going to have enough time for all of these children? And there's just a lot of fear of what we don't understand. And, I have to say that, when God is at the center of your home, and when you prioritize the Lord in your life, and you prioritize the Lord to be the center of your family, things fall into place. And it doesn't mean it's not hard. I mean, it's hard. There are hard days, and there are days that are challenging. But people say, "Oh gosh, I only have one," and that's, gosh, one is so hard. And one was hard. um, I have to say that I can't say that having 8 is any harder than having 1, um, because God just gives you the grace to He gives you the grace for what you need, and He gives you the grace for what He is, what He has given you, and if He has given you this family to take care of, then He will give you the grace and the mercy to provide. And we don't have a lot of fancy things. We don't we don't go on big vacations all the time or anything like that, but our children are happy and they love their home and they love that they have a lot of siblings, and they don't know any different. So and it's a happy home, and that's what they know, and that's really what they care about, and that's what they'll remember as they get older. And so it's a beautiful thing, and I'm so glad that the Lord opened our hearts and opened our marriage to life in that way.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you were talking about the fear about providing for the kids, and I remember a story of a couple that opened to life, and suddenly after the birth of this new baby, that it was like the fourth, the husband was promoted at work. So God provides, as you have said it. There's just trusting in Him, and and being with Him. And I heard once too that big families are like schools of love. They learn to share, to be less self-centered, is to be organized. Is they're not alone in a society that sometimes dwells in loneliness. So a large family is something different, no? So
That's right.
beautiful. Okay, so what is your current pro-life work, Abby?
So so I have 2 ministries. I have one for abortion clinic workers. We help them get out of the abortion industry and into relationship with Christ. So anyway, we have that, and then that's called "And Then There Were None." And then we have another ministry called Love Line, and that is a 24-hour crisis line. That's only been going for about 3 years, and we help women who are in, not just women, but families. So families that are in crisis, whether they're about to be evicted from their home or their utilities are shut off, or whatever it may be, we help them through that crisis. We help women who are pregnant and in need of help, or whatever it may be. Anybody who's in a state of crisis, we help them. And it's just loveline.com is the website. And so, a lot of times people will say, well, I ran across a mom who, I was checking out of my hotel, and I ran across a mom who just, she told me she was struggling. She's a single mom. And I gave her your website. And so, we love to help women that are in need, single moms, single dads, families who are struggling. So that's what Loveline is for. We have, in the past 3 years, we have served over 4,200 women and 8,000 children.
Wow.
So it's really just been an amazing thing that God just, I don't know, He just placed it on my heart one day and said, this is something that you need to start. And so we did. And it's just been a really beautiful, beautiful mission.
Beautiful ministries that you have. So the first one is helping workers of abortion to leave the industry. And that is nationwide. Right. And what is the way to contact you guys?
Yeah, and that website is just abortionworker.com. And we have helped 630 abortion clinic workers leave their jobs and come into a relationship with Christ. a lot of the workers that we see are fallen away Catholics, and so we get them back into the sacraments. And it's just a really beautiful, beautiful thing. We have helped to shut down over 25 abortion clinics because of the information that these workers are able to disclose, and we're able to get that information to state agencies, to federal agencies, local agencies, and they will then in turn go and shut those clinics down. So it's been really beautiful to close these clinics down. And then, so we've helped 630 workers. People can go to abortionworker.com, and then again, for the families and women in crisis, it's loveline.com.
Loveline.com. And about the second ministry, about loveline.com, helping women with pregnancies in crisis, is that nationwide or just Texas? And
it is, yeah. Both of our ministries are nationwide.
Nationwide. Can you please provide us the phone number? We have the website for Loveline, but is there a phone number?
There is, yeah. It's a hotline, and people can either text. A lot of people like to text in to the hotline, so they can text or call. And the number to text or call is 888-550-1588.
888-550-1588 for the loveline.com, and for the abortion workers will be the website abortionworkers.com, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wonderful. Abby, if you look back all your story and all what happened, what would you reflect about and towards God and towards this experience?
People ask, gosh, do you regret your time in the abortion industry? Do you wish you could go back and, change it? And, I have to say, I don't live a life of regret. I think that the beautiful thing about the Lord, the beautiful thing, about His mercy and His forgiveness is that He does not waste anything. He does not waste our past. He does not waste our sin. If we will allow Him to use our past for His glory, if we will allow Him to take everything we've ever done and say, God, I want you to do something good with this. I want you to take, every, terrible thing I've ever done, and I want you to do something amazing with it for you, for you, God. He will, and he doesn't waste anything. And so, that's the beautiful thing. And so I always encourage people to, remember that. And so, don't, whether it's that you've had an abortion in your past, or there's, infidelity in your marriage, or whatever it is in your life, whatever sins you've committed, not just abortion, but, anything, that we don't have to live a life where we're constantly looking back, where we're constantly living in our past, where we're constantly saying, I should have done this differently, or I am so ashamed of what I've done, or, I have all of this regret. We don't have to live that way, and God doesn't want us to live that way. He wants us to confess our sin and then be done with it. And we don't have to keep confessing the same sin over and over and over again, because once we confess it once, it's done, it's over. The Bible says as far as the east is from the west, that's it. It's forgiven, it's forgotten. And He wants us to be able to say, okay, whatever I've done in the past, I just want to be able to use it to glorify God, and maybe to help somebody else not make the same mistakes that I did. And so that's what I hope that my story is able to do for other people, that other people can hear my story and say, maybe I can make better choices. Maybe I don't have to go down that same road. And, even if it's just my kids, that's worth it for me to share my story publicly.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, and you are helping many, many people now with your testimony and your work. Abby, when you were talking about in the beginning of this interview, you said that Planned Parenthood took you to court. So now that
Mm-hmm.
all these years had passed, what happened legally? Was it bad? People need to be scared, or what happened in that aspect?
Yeah, they took me to court because they were trying to get a gag order against me so that I wouldn't be able to talk and share my story. But we went to court. That failed. They lost in court, and so I'm able to. I've been since the beginning, since they lost in court. I've been able to share my story freely. However I want to. So
Hello?
I think they were just,
Hello?
honestly, I think they were just trying
Hello?
to scare me, and I think they were trying to
Hello?
set an
Hello? Hello?
example of, I think they were trying to
Hello?
use me as an example for other workers to try to scare them, to say, if you leave us, we will do the same thing to you. If you leave us, we will, take you to court, we will try to silence you. So in an attempt to prevent other abortion clinic workers from leaving their job.
Mm-hmm. But thank God they were unsuccessful on that, and life showed the opposite, right? It was better, even better,
Right.
to live and no legal consequences or anything for you.
Right.
Okay, Abby. Now we're ending the interview, but many teams now are accepting the pro-choice movement and worries some people. What would you advise us to do in order to touch their hearts?
I just tell people to, always be truthful, to speak the truth, but to speak the truth in love. And, we have to let people know that, I don't think that, the left, people who are pro-abortion, they are never afraid to, speak their mind, to say what they believe. And I think that we as pro-lifers sometimes we worry about offending people with the truth, and I think that we need to stop worrying about that. I think that we need to stop worrying about speaking the truth and speaking our minds and standing up for life and standing up for traditional marriage. We need to stop worrying about who we are offending, because the other side is never worried about offending us. The problem is that they're speaking lies. They are not telling the truth, and we are. And so we need to be really bold. We need to be unashamed of God's truth, and we need to be willing to say it all the time, anytime. But we need to be loving when we share the truth, and but we need to be more willing to share it. And another thing is that we need to be out there voting for the truth. We need to be out there voting for candidates who are standing up for life, who are standing up for traditional marriage, who are standing up for our values. And that's one of the things that we're not doing. These pro-abortion people, they are going out and they are voting, and we're not. And we have already seen that in Kansas. Kansas is a conservative state. They are a pro-life state. But the pro-lifers, when they had the opportunity to make abortion illegal in Kansas a few months ago, they didn't, because they didn't show up to vote. And now abortion continues to remain legal in Kansas. And so that should be a lesson for all of us, that in these midterms coming up, we need people of faith to get out there and to vote for life.
Yes, I agree. And I believe it's more people defending life, pro-life, but they're silent. They think that the pro-choice are more, but it's the opposite. So yeah, we need to leave the fear and speak out, and as you said, vote. Yes. Abby, do you have a final message for us before we say bye?
I would just encourage people to stay strong, to be bold, um, to not be afraid, to not worry about sharing truth, um, and to be active in their local pro-life community. Don't expect someone else to do the job that God has called you to do.
Amen. Abby Johnson, thank you so much for giving us this time. Thank you for the important work that you do. And if you visit Miami, please stop by Radio Paz. We will be very happy to have you